And so that's what this is.
For the war?
Yeah, during the war.
60 years, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Pardon me?
Almost 60 years.
Oh, more than that. David here? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
When I look at
70,
Almost
yeah.
70 years.
when I look at these two guys, Eddie and David, when I was David's age, 16, I went to Germany to work as a forced laborer, and I had to do a man's grown-up man job because I had no experience in anything practically. So the German behind me was cutting on my heels. He was always pushing. He was always pushing, and I had a hard time getting away from him until I learned how to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was during the war, 1943. Can you imagine David's age? Find yourself in a enemy's country. No, don't know the language. Don't know how to communicate. No friends. So it was rough. I cried a few times.
Sure.
Anyway, so that lasted 2 years. I worked, in the summer we worked on a farm, and then in the winter we had to go into the mountains to cut wood, cut the trees down and clean them up and take the bark off and bring them down to the road, because I was up in a mountain up high, snow up to here,
No.
and didn't have good clothes, didn't have good shoes, nothing. So we were freezing. So that lasted 2 years, luckily. And then when war ended, the British Army liberated all of us. So we found ourselves that we had to make a decision, what do we want to do? They lined up trucks going east, back to Poland, or other trucks going to Italy. By then we found out that those that are going to Italy will join the Polish army. So I had nothing to lose. I didn't want to go back because we were very poor. There was no bread, there was not even enough potatoes to eat. We were raised on potatoes and sauerkraut during my grown-up young years. So I decided to go to Italy. And sure enough, they took us into a sort of a camp and started registering everybody, and we joined the Polish Second Corps in Italy. The basic training lasted 90 days. We trained in Italian farms where the grapes were growing, you know, big fields of full of grapes and all that. Of course, the discipline wasn't. It was hard to take at that age because we weren't used to it, but we survived. So I was in Italy for 2 years. We didn't see any war because the war was over. I was too young to be in a war. So almost 2 years in Italy, we were guarding the military equipment because there was a lot of ammunition left over, trucks, tanks, all kinds of equipment, so we had to guard all that so that it wouldn't be stolen. And from there I went to England. In England they demobilized our army and we went into civilian life. In England I was 5 years. I stayed 5 years in England. And meantime, I found out that I had an uncle that lived in Detroit, because I corresponded with my folks in Poland, and they gave me the address. And I wrote to my uncle, and sure enough, he answered, and he helped me get over here. So I came in 1951, and here I am, 61 years later. I went back to Poland for a visit with John, 1965. Was my first visit from 43 to 65. I didn't see my family, and lucky that we did go at that time, because my dad died 3 years later. He died in 68. If we hadn't gone, then I would have missed seeing my dad before he passed away. And no, we stayed like 5 weeks at a time. That first time we stayed 5 weeks with John. And he remembers all that. He remembers my dad was playing violin for him, because he was a musician. He had his own band. So we had a good time. And what else did I want to say? Well, my main aim was to point out, like David and Eddie. When I joined the Polish army, I was Eddie's age, 18. And when I left my home in Poland, I was 16, like David. Can you imagine that? That was a rough time. So I just wanted to compare what their lives are like and what mine was like. It's unthinkable, but that was the fact of life. Now, when Germans invaded our country, somebody told them that my dad was a handyman. He could fix anything. He could build anything. He had real good talent for that. So Germans wanted to take him to their own country to help the war effort and work, help keep the economy going. So my dad went into hiding, where you can only hide so long. So we got together in my family, and we decided that we should offer that I go in his place. That's how I ended up going to Germany, so they wouldn't take my dad. Because there were 4 of us, and I was the oldest. I was 16, 14, 12, and my brother was only 8 years old or something, 7. Well, let's see, he was born, no, he was only 4, because he was born in 35. So the Germans agreed that they will take me instead of my dad, and that's how we survived and how Dad survived. And like I said, we saw him in 1965 when we visited with John. So that was a happy time, nice reunion. And that's about it, what I can tell you at the moment.
What about what you just told us earlier about the little things that happened to you, like the guys in the Jeep, stuff like that? You just told us that your friends went off in a Jeep and hit a landmine or something.
Oh yeah, when we were in Italy, that was in May, and war, as you probably read, and it ended May 8th, 1945, where we joined the army immediately, and while we were still in the basic training, we were in church one Sunday, and we got out of church and we stood around talking to each other and all that, and we heard a big explosion, not too far away, and it turned out that 3 of our guys went for a joyride in a Jeep in a field, one of those field roads, and they ran over a landmine, and it blew up their Jeep and killed all 3 of them. And another thing I would like to mention that I really lived through and experienced when we gathered for Sunday Mass in a barrack that was designed maybe to hold, I don't know, 500 people. Well, almost a whole battalion, almost 1,000 men, all standing. You know, there was no sitting down. When they started singing Boże coś Polskę, now Barbara knows what that means. That's like a national anthem, religious anthem. I will never forget that. The barrack shook from the strong voices from that singing, and that was so moving. I can't describe it. So that was another good experience in my life. Of course, we had many others that were similar, but we found graves in Italy, just soldiers buried in a shallow grave, just covered with dirt. We found personal belongings and guns and ammunition, because the battleground was just still fresh. I was there maybe like 2 or 3 weeks after the armistice, after the war ended. So, well, that's about it. I can't think at the moment of other incidents.
How about those old Roman graves? Any old Roman graves?
Yeah, when we were in Italy, I had quite a good learning, because we visited Rome. We visited the catacombs under, all the graves of the saints and underground. We had a visit with the Pope, Pius XII. He came out, they carried him out and let him down in the room, and he spoke to us. In fact, he spoke about a dozen words in Polish to us. We were very impressed. And the words were, "Praised be Jesus Christ," which means in Polish it's "Niech będzie pochwalony Jezus Chrystus." And we were quite impressed with that. So we visited Pope, we visited Pompeii, where the whole city is buried. That was quite an experience, near Naples. And Capri and all the beautiful places. We set up a camp right on the beach, tents. And so we went swimming every day in the ocean, Adriatic Ocean. It was quite nice. Well, okay, Tony, that's about it. I would have to. I was unprepared. I should have written most of that down, but.
Well, we can finish it on next Friday. Anything to add, Barbara?
No, I'm just want to ask if he can say something in Italian.
Oh.
Oh, sure, I can say buongiorno, amico.
Salute. Yes.
Yes,
Veterans Day.
Salute. We had a good time in Italy, because
Is that where that nice
they drink a lot of wine.
Nice
The nice
driveway.
driveway.
That phone had from
Polish market says arrivederci.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the commercial.
Oh,
Isn't,
come on.
isn't that an insult?
Oh my.
When I was in
Eddie's
in
such a-
Austria, I used to work with a Russian. You might say he was captured in a battle, and they brought him over to labor, just like myself. And he used to teach me some Russian, so I know a few words. And he taught me one song, which I remember, words and melody. And funny thing, when we go to these festivals, there is one band that comes from Cleveland, Ohio, and they learn, those are Americans, musicians, and they learn, somebody taught them that song. And it's in a polka beat. So we dance a polka to that song, and I know all the words. Oh gosh, that's quite a
It's ironic.
it brings back memories.
What kind of work they make you do in a labor camp?
Well, it wasn't a camp, Mike. It was a farm. So luckily, good for us, because we would steal eggs. We found some eggs, stray chicken laid an egg somewhere. We would steal it. At night, we would steal some milk from the cans that the farmers put out for collection. We would kill maybe a chicken and cook it, and my friends would hand me some food when I was hungry. Believe it or not, this woman, the owner, and her husband, not only that I had to work like a grown-up man, I was hungry. They would cut me just a portion of bread, and that was it. So I had to fight for survival, and so I would have strength to perform the labor, a very hard labor.
You must have been pretty thin.
Pardon me?
You must have got pretty thin.
Oh, I was thin, yeah, but I was strong. I was strong because I would carry big bags of grain up to the second floor, because that's where the storage bins were. And like I told you a while ago, that we had to go into the mountains. Oh, maybe how many miles from the farm to the top of the mountain, or near the top of the mountain, maybe like 5 miles through the snow, but there were roads in the woods, in the forest. So
You had to walk that, or they drove you?
sometimes we walked, sometimes they drove horses. No, there was no cars. They had cars, but we didn't have any because it was mountains. The roads are so steep, and you would just get into trouble with that.
Are you good at horseback riding?
No, never liked horses.
Never?
Never, because they gave me a rough time, so I never liked horses. But when we wanted to go down, we would take the sled with us, and just zoom down, and then just pull the sled up on the way back.
That was about the time you met Moshe was in Austria, wasn't it?
Yeah, I met. Yes, that was the time. Yeah, from 1943 to 1945, we saw each other every 2-3 times a week, or twice at least.
He was older than you?
Pardon me?
Older than you, or same age?
No, he was older. He was born in 1924.
That's not much.
But I was a little taller than he was, and we became good friends. And in 1967, he came to Toronto, Canada, and I get a letter, and I look at the letter, mailed in Toronto. I say, what's going on? And I read it, and then I find out that his sister-in-law lived in Toronto, so they came to join the family. And you remember him very well.
Yeah.
It's a shame they didn't live closer to us.
Yeah, it was a shame. So when I went back for a visit in 1980, was it 84?
Yeah.
I visited a couple of brothers that we worked together in Austria during the war. And they used to help me out, give me bread when I was hungry and all that. Whatever they had, they would share with me. Well, when we were parting at the end of the war, he gave me his address in Poland. So when I went back for a visit in 1984, I decided to find him. I tell you, it was quite an experience.
Same house? He still lived there?
No.
No.
I got there and I see people sitting on porches, and I asked a couple of families if they know that name. Oh yes, they used to live here, but their house was torn down because the fire station was built over there. So I said, do you have any idea where I can find him? No, they were not sure, but they said they told me to go on a main street and stop anybody on a main street and ask people. And that's what I did. Well, one guy said, no, I never heard that name before. Okay. Second one, no, he didn't know. The third one, yeah, he says, there is a Hodur. That's the name, Hodur. H-O-D-U-R. He said, lives just a few houses away. He was a local. So I went to the door. I knocked on the door. An older man walks out, quite a bit older than me. And I told him straightforward that I am looking for Antoni Hodur. He says, I'm his brother. Oh God, that really...
Floored him.
well, not only floored him, but it floored me. How lucky I was. So I said, would you mind to give me his address and so I can find him? Well, he gladly, I said, I am old friends of his. So he gave me the address, and we went. It was a friend of mine had a car, old Beetle, German Volkswagen, and he drove me around. Of course, I paid him for the gas and all that. So we found the address. A young man opened the door. I said, I'm looking for Antoni. Well, his first words were, who are you? I said, we can't tell you because this is a secret until we talk to your father. Well, he told us that he was his son. So he said he went to the dentist, he'll be back in about 20 minutes. So we sat in front, by the sidewalk, in front of the house. There was a bench, which is quite customary. A lot of people have those benches. We sat and we waited. No more than 10 minutes, this guy ran out of the house and he went downtown. He couldn't wait any longer, the young man, to go and tell his father that somebody was waiting for him.
Oh, and I wouldn't say who they were.
And we wouldn't tell him who we were. So no more than another 5-10 minutes, I see him coming. My friend.
With a gun.
I bet you he was probably scared that it might be secret police, because that was during the communist rule in Poland.
Yeah.
So everybody was scared of the secret police. But I recognized him because he didn't change much, really. Well, he came towards us and I said, hi, Anthony. He looks at me, didn't recognize me. Who are you?
You didn't change much either.
It was 40 years.
No, yes, I
40
did.
years.
He said, who are you? I said, no, I can't tell you. If you invite us inside, then we'll talk. Oh, please, please. Right away, he agreed to invite us into his house. You know, we sat there, I don't know how long, I didn't really keep time, but we talked. It took him about 10, 15 minutes
And then he.
before he's listening. Every word I say, he is listening to me. And I said, go back. So he comes up with some names and dates. I said, no, go back some more.
Oh, okay.
Because he had to go back to 1945 when we parted, when the war ended. So finally, I know who you are. I said, you're kidding. No, he says, you Stanley Jejka. I recognize your voice, he says.
You remembered your name?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, we corresponded a few times. Yeah, I wrote letters to him. He recognized my voice. Oh gosh, he got up and he didn't know what to do with himself. He says, I don't believe this. He just couldn't believe that I would take the time and the trouble after all these years to look him up and find him. Oh, was that a reunion? Well, we didn't have much time because the day was coming to an end, and so we arranged a date at a later, 2 weeks later, and I took two of my sisters. I don't know, I don't remember if
No, I wasn't there.
Mom, no, if Mom was there.
I don't know.
Anyway, we went in a car and we celebrated. My sisters are good singers. One sings publicly, you know, she's a good singer. And both of them are good singers. And one of his brothers, my friend's brother, played violin. You should see the celebration. And that was July, in July. Windows open, and we singing, and we had to be careful because my sister was singing songs that were made up against the regime in Poland. Yeah. So we really had to be careful so they wouldn't come and arrest some of us. But
They know
luckily,
any other songs?
huh?
Didn't they know any other songs?
Well, that was
Favorite topic
It was
of
more
the time.
fun to do it that way.
That's right. That was the popular, because you know we hated the Russians and
And after every shot, the singing got louder.
yeah, and they fixed it then, and
So did everyone else.
windows open, and you know when we walked out
So did
after.
General Patton.
When we walked out of the house, there were about 35 people standing up around the house and listening to what was happening. All the singing, all the music and all that. So that was quite a visit. Oh, and I just received from here, he sent me a CD with Polish songs. And he says, oh, Stanley, here is and my son made it, recorded it for you, so you don't feel lonesome in foreign language, foreign country, you know. He doesn't know that we have much more than they do of Polish language over here, radio program and all kinds of music, and so I didn't answer him yet, but I'm going to make a CD and send one to him too. So that's about it.
Well, thank you.
Well, since then, two of his brothers died, so he's the only one. He's 93.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's the sharpest as in a younger age. So, okay, so keep that in mind, guys. How lucky you are, David and Eddie, and Justin. Is he here?
There.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Keep in mind what happened to me, and that was, of course, nobody wanted, but that's when war happens, anything can happen to you. I was lucky that I was too young to fight, because they would have put me in the front to fight the Russians, but I was too young, so I had to work 12 hours mostly a day, every day, and freeze and hungry, but luckily I survived, and I thank God every day that I survived all the adversity.
Did you know many families that lost a lot of members in the death camps?
Not too many, not too many. I met few, yes. Oh, they, when we were in Germany, if they caught a Polish